Welcome into the Cowboys Report. Tom Downey here. The Washington Commanders just stunned the Detroit Lions to advance to the NFC Championship game. This actually has pretty significant impact on the Dallas Cowboys, so I wanted to get into it rather quickly here. Before we get into that, the elephant in the room, I'm actually wearing my glasses, which I've never done before on a show. Mostly because it's late at night, and I took out my contacts, and that's really far away to go all the way upstairs, so I didn't feel like doing it. You can grade the glasses for me because I am blind as a bat without them. A, B, C, D, or F in the comment section, and I'll just pretend the Fs don't come in, even though I'm sure they will. Sound off in the comments. So here's why this matters. The Cowboys were going to be unable to interview Ben Johnson and or Aaron Glenn for their open head coaching positions until they lost the game. Because the Cowboys dragged their feet and did not do anything to get a head coach or to get interviews set up, they had to wait to interview any of the Chiefs candidates, any of the Lions candidates. They are not eligible to have a potential second interview during the week of the Pro Bowl because they never had the first interview in the process. So as very frustrating as it is to see a Commanders team led by Dan Quinn and company make it to an NFC Championship game, which I'll also spin zone here in a little bit, it's actually does have some positive impacts for the Cowboys. There had been reports, and we'll mention these again tomorrow, that Aaron Glenn and maybe Ben Johnson were potential targets for this Dallas Cowboys head coaching search. So the ability to now interview those guys, whether or not you want to hire them, we will have that conversation, is significant. It allows the Cowboys to not be so far behind the eight ball with everyone else interviewing Ben Johnson, which they better do, and everyone else, the Jets and Saints being so heavily tied to Aaron Glenn. It can kind of level the playing field a little bit for the Dallas Cowboys, which I think is a huge element here that some people overlooking a little bit. So we'll talk Aaron Glenn, we'll talk Ben Johnson. We'll talk NFC Championship drought as well for the Cowboys. With the pinned comment on today's video, who do you want the Dallas Cowboys to hire as their head coach? It is the pinned comment, so if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Let's talk briefly here the now bad championship drought the Dallas Cowboys are facing. No NFL team has had a longer NFC Championship drought than the Dallas Cowboys. The Commanders had the longest drought. They are now in it in their first year with Dan Quinn and company, and that makes the Cowboys have the longest one. Now, in an ideal world, I would like to believe this means Jerry Jones is going to get mad, he's going to get serious, he's going to start doing things to change that. I have my doubts because of the everything we've seen over the years with Jerry Jones. I think that is hopeful optimism that maybe is hopium in the end. But I do still want to interview both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. Let's start with Aaron Glenn here. Perfectly justifiable to go, hey, did not have a good game against the Commanders defense. That's a concerning mindset. Several things I want to mention here. And the first is this. If you are pining after Dan Quinn in any capacity, then the Aaron Glenn Lions defense performance should not matter to you. Because the Cowboys defense against the Packers last year had one of the worst defensive performances statistically you will see. They did not get stops, period, in that game until the Packers were in basically kneel-down territory. So if the argument is, we should have made Dan Quinn the head coach, while ignoring that, then you should ignore what happened to the Lions tonight. This Lions defense, and I don't expect everyone to be watching Lions games, because who cares? You're Cowboys fans. I do. It's my job. This Lions defense is decimated. Here's a list of players they are down from their starting preseason 2 deep. Marcus Davenport, starter defensive end. Aiden Hutchinson, starter at DE. Best defensive tackle, Lee McNeil. One of your top 4 DTs, Mekhi Wingo. You got Alex Anzalone back, but you're down Derek Barnes and Malcolm Rodriguez, kind of your linebackers 2 and 3 more or less. You're down starting corner Carlton Davis. You're down backup corner Khalil Davis, backup cornerback Ennis Rakestraw. You also lost injuries in this game. Number 1 safety Brian Branch, number 3 safety Ifatu Melifonwu, and nickel cornerback Amik Robertson. They're down over half their defense. Of course, this Lions defense, before the injuries became just too much to overcome, statistically, they were the number 2 ranked defense in EPA per play and the number 2 ranked defense in points allowed per game. This was a really good defense that just got decimated by injuries. So if your mindset going into this game was, hey, I like Aaron Glenn, I want to bring him in for an interview, I'm not saying hire him right now, but if you want to bring him in for an interview, that should not change. I think having an overreaction to one game is actually a bad process that you should try to consistently avoid. Bring it up in the interview. Make it a concern. All fair. A disqualifier? No. Sean McVay's last game, his team scored 10 points. Yeah, I before he became head coach of the Rams. I don't want to overreact to that one particular game. So if you still want to interview Aaron Glenn, I do. I think a real coaching search interviews Aaron Glenn and a lot of other guys. Got to start that. And we'll talk about Ben Johnson and more here, but today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. It's playoff time. It's now or never. Do not miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the postseason. Available in over 30 states, including California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. They offer MasterCard now for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. I always advise the flex play. You can still get one wrong and come out on top. You don't have to go perfect. You can go 2 or 3, 3 or 4, whatever, and still potentially cash out if you can get all but one pick correct. Even if one of those picks hit, you can still cash out. Don't hit. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Let's talk Ben Johnson. I don't know why. The receiver trick pass I didn't love. The shovel pass or the toss shovel pass was brilliant because a lot of times the trick plays and play calls are just results-based there. But again, you now have the opportunity to interview Ben Johnson. And any serious NFL team is interviewing Ben Johnson. Maybe he doesn't want to come here. Maybe you don't want to hire him in the end. Maybe he doesn't impress you in the interview process. You can't just do a 3, 4, 5-man interview search. That's the things that I've complained about. I don't want to have that happen. You now have an opportunity I frankly didn't think you were going to get. I don't think the Lions are going to beat the Commanders. Hand up on me. That surprised me. Credit to Washington, whatever. You have a chance now to go interview Ben Johnson. The Bears are lurking. The Raiders lurking heavily. Don't let that cause chaos. Go interview him. There's no justifiable reason to not interview Ben Johnson. I believe those can start on Monday. I think they technically get the couple days after, whenever the divisional round ends, so to speak. But I'm calling him and saying, Ben, let's bring you in for an interview. And you can make the sales pitch of, we're going to give you this and this and that and all that stuff. I get the Raiders have Tom Brady. That's not a good organization right now. They've been a mess. Go make your pitch. Go see what you can do. Go interview him. It shouldn't be that hard. Now, of these 2 Lions coordinators, who would you rather hire? BJ for Ben Johnson, AG for Aaron Glenn? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Again, I like to believe this would the drastic changes for the Cowboys and the Commanders are making it, and look how far they made it with Dan Quinn and whatnot. I hope they make changes. I hope they surprise me. I've made a big deal throughout this coaching staff search of I want a real process, a real coaching search. Aaron Glenn is one step to that. Whoever loses between Joe Brady and the Bills and Todd Monken and the Ravens, I'm interviewing them as well. I am not wasting my time. I am getting going and getting those guys in for interviews. There's no reason not to. Let's have a real search. Because what I don't want to have happen, and I get a lot of you guys don't want Kellen Moore. I get that. I understand because to an extent it's been there, done that. I don't. You can sell me a little bit more on hiring, whether it's Kellen Moore, Robert Salo, whoever the hell they interview, whatever. If you interview a dozen people, because then you can at least claim, yeah, he really impressed us in the interview process. This is our guy. We have faith in him. I don't buy that for a second. If you interview, Robert Saleh, Kellen Moore, maybe Aaron Glenn, and Leslie Frazier. That's just, you picked the guy you wanted to pick. You didn't do a real search. You made up your mind going into it, and I don't want that. That's not a good process. It's simply not, and I've lowered the bar to that. That's all I want to have there. So we will be back again tomorrow, sans glasses, with more on the Cowboys. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out.